Hey guys, welcome to the Eat, Sleep, Rave, Repeat guide to Kormrok in Hellfire Citadel. This is Gorgeous, and I will be talking you through this encounter. Okay, so the first ability he does is called Pound, where he's going to pound the ground and do AoE damage to everybody in the raid, no matter where you're standing. You can mitigate this damage by popping a cooldown, but you want to make sure that you're not standing next to anybody because you're going to do splash damage every time he hits the ground. Now, this ability can line up with other mechanics throughout the fight, so if he's doing a pound and another mechanic's going off, you might need to pop a raid-wide healing cooldown. Throughout the encounter, Kormrok is going to jump in these colored pools, which will empower his other abilities. The first ability I'd like to talk about is called Explosive Runes. Basically, he's going to place 5 red runes that players need to pop, otherwise they're going to do explosive AoE fire damage to the entire raid. When these players pop these runes, they're going to take some personal damage that is easily healable. So when Explosive Rune becomes empowered, players can step inside the rune and start to push the red rune towards a certain direction. The direction that the rune will reappear is the same direction that the player is facing when they enter the rune. Now, our strategy was to have the 5 runes be pushed into one another, so our 5 players push the runes into the center of the room. So I drew a little thing on paint to show exactly what we're talking about. This is basically the layout of the room where the 5 runes appear. Players will need to approach the runes and face inward so that they can push the runes towards each other. Now once they hit the rune is going to spawn again right in front of them. You can see that as the runes get closer, the players will need to hit the rune again and go in the same direction so that they're facing each other. The goal is to have the runes all collide in the middle. Now this may not work perfectly, but basically that's the general idea. Okay, so the next ability we're going to talk about is called Grasping Hands, and we've seen this mechanic before in Blackrock Foundry. Basically, little hands come out of the ground and grab you, and you can still cast and heal and pop your cooldowns, and you need to break everybody out as soon as possible. Now, if you're stacked, it does do AoE nature damage, which isn't a big deal in normal mode. On heroic mode, I suggest you get in little groups of 4 to 5 with a healer in each group, and you just break everybody out as you can. Now when Grasping Hands becomes empowered, it then changes into Dragging Hands, and these hands are now going to start to drag you to the nearest pool. You want to make sure that even if you're a melee, that you're really far away from that pool. If you get dragged into that pool, you're going to die. There's no healing through it. It does a lot of damage, even on normal. So what we did is we all stacked up in one group and AoE'd everything down, but we were running heavy on healers, so we were able to heal through that AoE damage. I suggest that you break into groups of 4 or 5 and just break out your group as it comes. The next mechanic is called Fell Outpour. This is an ability where waves come out of the purple pool. It's a fairly simple mechanic. They're really easy to dodge. The only thing that might be a struggle is if you were a tank or a melee, because you're initially by the pool, and that's where the wave comes out right away. It's harder to dodge. As it crawls across the floor, it spreads out. As a ranged, it was really simple to avoid. When Fell Outpour becomes empowered, waves come out of all 3 of the pools, and you just have to avoid them. I felt it didn't hit for very much, but it could possibly hit for more as we progress into different difficulties. I'm going to spend a little time talking about the tank abilities. The one that the raid has to be aware of is an ability called Explosive Burst. The tank is going to grow in size and be rooted in place, and the raid and melee have to get away from him 40 yards away, and he's going to do an AoE burst damage. If you're in range, it's going to kill you for sure. Throughout the fight, the tank has to worry about getting this debuff called Fell Touch. Fell Touch will increase magical damage done by 50%, so you don't want to be tanking when you have this debuff. There's 3 different ways you can get Fell Touch. The first way is a basic knockback. It will give you the debuff, and you have to be careful that you do not get knocked back into the fell pools. The second way is when he grabs you in his rock hand from underneath the ground and does Foul Crush on you. That will also give you Fell Touch. And the third way is Explosive Burst, where the tank is rooted in place and everybody has to run away from him. So you just want to taunt swap when you have Fell Touch, basically. Thank you so much for watching this guide. I'm Gorgeous, and I hope you have fun with the fight.